Welcome to Eke React. I'm back with another trending topic in Nigeria. El-Rufai and Reno Omokri don dey give each other woto for internet. One thing with this our Nigerian politicians be say, if the government dey favor them, then go hide. You can hardly see them saying anything bad about the government. But if the government no come dey favor them, omo, body go just dey pinch them and then go just dey vex anyhow. El-Rufai dey vex say Tinubu dey run Nigeria with tribalism. It's even funny because during the time of Buhari, wey be say people dey complain, people like El-Rufai was defending Buhari then, saying that Buhari is one of the best presidents wey be say Nigeria don produce. But now, wey be say Tinubu dey give them woto, many of them come dey vex. Una remember say El-Rufai na one of the people wey be say in campaign to make sure say Tinubu government take over. But at the end of the day, na the same El-Rufai dey come dey complain now, saying that Tinubu dey run Nigeria with tribalism. Even Reno Omokri, wey be say na PDP guy before, don switch go APC. Every day now, Reno Omokri dey try to hail APC, dey try to defend them now on the internet. Or make I allow una see this video of Mayogun diary explaining what happened between Rufai and Reno Omokri. So if you are new to this channel, please subscribe and also make sure you like the video to recommend it to more people. Don't forget to also drop your opinion on the comment section.
This was the invitation that got El-Rufai interested in believing that Tinubu was going to make him a minister on record.
Nigerian need thinkers and doers. And that is, I'm openly begging Nasir El-Rufai not to run away for additional degree excuse. He's going to Cairo, PhD and everything. There are lots of educated relics. We are not going to let you run away. Your vision, creativity, and resiliency in turning a rotten situation to a bad one is necessary at this critical time. That is why we are here today. Dear brother Nasir, make a promise. We won't let you run away from the country. That's the only way I will leave this podium. Where is the promise? You make the promise.
The promise.
Okay.
So that was how El-Rufai, the man that turned a rotten situation to a bad one. That's how El-Rufai believed that he was going to be a minister under Tinubu. Now he's now Rastafarian. If he is not singing Bob Marley song, he's advising Tinubu that Tinubu should not be arrogant. So we are kind of monitoring the fight of these rabid dogs at Irastao, at Iraskalo. We are watching them like this. So thank you so much for joining me, brethren, dear Templars. Please, after reading the caption of this broadcast, liking the broadcast, sharing it, don't forget to read the description of the broadcast as well. So in this order, read the caption, read the description, like the broadcast, share it. And you won't have to do all of that again if you can do it from the start. But usually people just join and they just kind of like delve straight into it. And they would have to be reminded of like the broadcast, please, guys, like the broadcast, guys. A little bit embarrassing sometimes because people are so conservative when it comes to them liking the broadcast. But if you have done that already, thank you. Tonight, we are delving into a lot as usual. And we are going to be doing it one after the other. The huge part of tonight is going to be on the two fighting case between Reno Omokri and Kaduna Littlefinger, El-Rufai. El-Rufai is famous for one thing. He is famous for being controversial. Then he is also famous for being the point man in our discovery of those who brought back the Fulani terrorists into Nigeria using the system of government that was supposed to protect Nigerians, or rather used in decimating them. The people of Southern Kaduna will never forget El-Rufai in their lifetime, his role in sponsoring the terrorism, the Fulani terrorism in Southern Kaduna, an act that throughout his 8 years as governor of Kaduna, he was able to pay influencers on social media to counterattack those who came out to share their experiences as they happened in Southern Kaduna. Unfortunately, those he paid back then when he was governor to justify the killings in Southern Kaduna, the terrorism there, majority of them have switched sides today. They can no longer defend him. And therefore, El-Rufai is now an IDP, internally displaced politician. And as for Reno Omokri, he seems to be a sycophant for hire. He himself did all he could to join the wagon of the exposers of the terrorism in Nigeria under Buhari. He was once an appointee of Goodluck Ebere Jonathan. Then when he was sacked by Jonathan, Reno Omokri resorted into an online, he called himself a table shaker, by the way. There's nothing he didn't call himself, but he managed to build himself a profile for through Leah Sharibu, one of the Dapchi girls kidnapped by Boko Haram that they kept for themselves way back then. So the story of these two charlatans is not new. So is their fight. But they seems to be fighting for, different cause. And this time around, it's about patronage. Throughout the murderous 8 years of Buhari, Reno Omokri pretended to be a pro-Nigerian and the supporter of, what is good. However, it didn't take real long before he got a call from the same man. He once told us he went to Chicago to investigate, and in fact, he never went to Chicago State University. Also, that the man that Reno Omokri is defending today was actually a drug dealer, a drug baron, something that the internet never forgets. But yeah, it seems that in their politics in Nigeria, as they say, no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, just permanent interests. Their story is so similar. So that is why I'm going to be going back and forth between them. Okay, tonight, I am a storyteller. And if you are new on Mayegun's Diary Politico, well, you would have to get used to it, okay? So the last time, which was last night, I saw someone's comment who was trying to, I bet that person is new, because that's the only reason why somebody would tell me to be civil when I am talking about the criminals in Nigeria. You see, when people want to be politically correct, they will tell you that you don't need to insult them. I mean, you can deliver your message without being insulting, and the rest of that. So when people send me that kind of a comment, I automatically just believe that maybe they are among those who just stumbled on this channel on YouTube, and they just felt like it is irritating to be calling people names, to be insulting them, stuff like that. So I am therefore going to quickly give us a reminder. I appreciate all of you who joined Mayegun's Diary Politico on YouTube for whatever reason that got you interested in this channel. Okay? But this place is called Temple of Truth. Mayegun's Diary Politico. Except if you are a closet supporter of the criminals in charge of Nigeria, those criminals, you will never take any offense in how I address them. You are right. I could be civil. Like, I could still kind of deliver my message without being, like, insulting, like you said. But except you are a supporter of all these bad guys, you will never take offense. So I choose not to respect them. Do you understand? I choose not to respect them. I coined all these names for those rogues in that contraption. And if you do not have any bit of, flair for them, you will never be offended. But if you are offended, I understand. You may be among the Reno coups, the Reno Nazis, the Reno bandits, the Yoruba Ponus, the Oshugbo Alimanjiris, the Lagos Abobakus, the crumb eaters, the ass lickers, the crumb chasers, the all risers. You see, all these guys are they are from the clans of the Bat Idiot, the Buhari Idiot, the Bat Star, So I do not have any respect for you, okay? On Mayegun's Diary Politico, I do not play political correctness, all right? So don't worry about me. Worry about yourselves. So in your own warped mind, do not come here to correct me how I address these criminals. They are criminals, and that is why in the world of today, anybody that feels slighted or libeled, right? You can easily sue me. Do you understand? So, and listen, I also know those I am addressing. That's why I call their names. If you are not one of them, you shouldn't be offended, And if you kind of feel offended, well, maybe that simply means I'm actually achieving what I want to achieve, because it seems to be, well, I have been in this for a while, and getting people mad seems to be one of my very good creative side as well. So you should never be offended, no matter what language I use in addressing these Oloribrukus. So my platform is not really for everyone. So don't come here to try to be politically correct with me. It won't work, okay? It will actually encourage me to do it more, to get you more madder. The criminals we are addressing are heartless. These are cold criminals, destiny killers, dream killers, career criminals that don't give a hoot about you. They don't give a hoot about anybody but themselves. So it is only in that contraption, Nigeria, that you will see the voluntary slaves respecting their slave masters, their oppressors, or demanding that they should be respected, or even praying for them. On Mayegun's Diary Politico, our effort is to, possibly reformat the brains of a lot of us, whether you are young or old. Don't demand respect for criminals in charge of Nigeria, from Tinubu to the rest of them. Don't ever demand respect for them. Don't give them any. And if you are already a voluntary slave, whether you are an Abrodian Ronuku, Abrodian Bat Idiot, Abrodian Bastard, it still never changed anything. Because we do know on this platform as well that there are some of you that were taken out of the contraption, Nigeria. They didn't take Nigeria out of you. In fact, some of you are the key problems. The slow clog, the clog in the wheel of progress, of liberating the minds of a lot of people. Where you live in a society where everything works. Or you prefer the contraption to remain as it is, so that at least out of 100 blind people, one-eyed man can be their leader. You know? So we have sorted all of that. So if you are new on Mayegun's Diary Political, and somehow you get offended the way I address these guys, well, there's nothing you can do about it, okay? So you can turn yourself to anything. You shall collect as well. And I do advise people, I say, listen, you shouldn't be watching Mayegun's Diary Political. If you have any kind of love or respect for the Olori Burukus destroying Nigeria, all right? You shouldn't, for your own mental health. Because my mouth's not really good. My mouth is not that good, okay? I can get you mad right there, that even the people inside your house will begin to ask you, what is wrong? What is wrong, man? What is wrong, sir? I can get you that mad. Yeah, and by your comment, I shall know as well. Right? So, 2 years ago, in fact, let's start from the beginning. When these guys, I'll start with El-Rufai, Kaduna Littlefinger, they launched a never-seen-before propaganda campaign against Goodluck Ebere Jonathan. He was called so many names: a drunkard, clueless, brainless, a thief. There was no name they didn't call him. And they ensured that all those names stuck. And they gave life to those names. So that everybody that comes, when you see the image of Jonathan, you see the image of a clueless man, a drunkard, an incompetent, guy, if the son of a fisherman or a boat repairer, to the point that people couldn't wait to get rid of him. They were threatening. They even threatened him that if he dared stay a day longer in that seat, he will be chased out and it will cause civil war. There was nothing they didn't say. They had all this free will. Internet doesn't forget. Then they got the power. And they automatically turned speaking against government into a crime. And people were actually locked up. People were exiled. They looted. They looted and looted and looted. They brought terrorism upon Nigeria. They killed and killed and killed. But you dare not say it. People paid supreme prices. Democracy turned to demonstration of grace, militocracy. This APC, a Bekebe that used the same social media to bully a sitting president to oblivion, became, they actually burned the bridge, and it became a crime to condemn or even criticize the APC, a Bekebe. So, it was going on well for them. They were destroying Nigeria, but they were blaming other people for it. They were dividing Nigeria. They were blaming other people for it. They were done. Out of power, suddenly, the same El-Rufai is back. In fact, you know what? Let's start from there. Gone are the days. Well, back in the days, this was El-Rufai 10 years ago, 2014.
This government is incapable of doing anything. Even if you ask them to eat food, they will not do it competently. They are so incompetent that they speak in ways and manners that really has reduced Nigeria to a laughingstock in the world. Who is APC? Who in APC will arrange the abduction of girls? To what end? To what purpose? They should come out, and if they are the government, if they know anyone, if Nasir El-Rufai is involved, what are they waiting for? Arrest me and prosecute me. But they are all a bunch of liars, They only know how to point fingers at anyone. They don't know how to govern. Instead of sitting down and solving problems, they point fingers at other people. They blame others to divert attention from their incompetence. The primary responsibility of any government is to provide security. They have failed woefully. Instead of focusing on it, they are blaming people. Who is behind the abduction? Who is behind terrorism in APC? You are the government. You have security agencies. You have intelligence agencies. You have the army. You have the police. We have courts. What are you waiting for?
And then
What are they waiting for?
there have also been accusations that you are the party APC, being the biggest opposition party so far in Nigeria, even as we speak right now, is taking advantage or exploring advantage of the fact that there's terrorist crisis in the country, and you're exploring that.
Why should it
touch political points?
What is we are in opposition? Are we supposed to let a government that has become so incompetent will be praising them and say that, oh, terrorism is happening, Jonathan is doing nothing, well done Jonathan? Are we supposed to do that? We are in opposition. Our job is to look at even good things that they are doing and say they are not doing it well. That is the job of opposition. So we have no apologies for pointing out to Nigerians that this government is incompetent and has failed to provide security. If you say we are politicizing it, fix the problem so that we can't politicize it. Okay? Are we politicizing breathing of air? Every Nigerian can breathe air. We can't politicize it because there is no problem there. But if you fail to supply petroleum products and we say you are failing, you say we are politicizing it. Fix the problem so that we don't politicize it. If you say that there is terrorism, we are politicizing it, eliminate terrorism. 5 years ago, nobody is talking about terrorism in Nigeria. Under Jonathan, it has become an industry. And we should not take advantage of their failings so that we secure the votes of Nigerians in the next elections. There must be something wrong with them. We have made suggestions to the government on how to improve security. They have ignored it. They have set up 5 different committees that have given them recommendations how to address this problem of terrorism in the last 3 years. They have not implemented one. They are incompetent, but they try to blame other people.
So at this stage that we are right now with terrorism in Nigeria, what do you think is the solution, especially on how to rescue the girls?
The government has the solution to this problem. Several committees have given them recommendations. They should just implement the recommendations in their drawer. Okay? As for rescuing the girls, we have seen examples of what countries do when this situation happens. You should have military action on the one hand and negotiation on the other hand. You should not foreclose anything because the lives of your citizens are at risk and you don't want to lose one life. You don't want to lose the life of one person. You don't want to lose the life of 250 girls. So whatever it takes to rescue those girls should be done. If one of these girls was Jonathan's daughter, the story would be different. The only reason why these girls are still in captivity is because they are not the daughter of any important man in Nigeria, and we know it. And if you say I'm politicizing terrorism, go and rescue the girls so that I don't have a basis to politicize it.
So are you in support of it?
And for clarity, they were actually the ones that kidnapped the Chibok girls. And it worked. The girls, some of them who later got rescued, said all the while that Nigerians were asking for them. Free Chibok girls. They were in Maiduguri. In a politician's house, they said they will be hearing the hovering helicopters. And whenever the helicopters are approaching the compounds, they will tell them to quickly run in. They will quickly rush them inside. They divided them into about 5, all the girls in Maiduguri. And who was the governor? Then the current vice president of Nigeria, Shittiman, was the governor. Who was the minister for education when the girls were kidnapped? The current FCT minister, Wike. Wike wrote a letter. They said they received an intel that the Boko Haram were planning to conduct a mass kidnapping of school children during their WAEC examinations. Because of that, they said all the schools in Maiduguri, secondary schools, where the children were sitting for their WAEC examinations, should be moved to Maiduguri. All the schools in Borno State should be moved to the state capital, Maiduguri, for adequate security. The girls in Chibok, right? Shittiman wrote back and said, logistically, it will be impossible to move all of them to Maiduguri, but they have provided security. And the children will be fine. So, on the night when the girls were to be kidnapped, the school headmistress whose own child was supposed to be sitting as well for the examination, was excused from the dormitory. And then the Boko Haram came and they took all the girls. And while the girls were taken, the same shitty man, the governor never alerted the federal agencies, the federal agents, and say, we have a kidnapping activity going on. To the point that the children were taken, and until the following day, when the news now broke that they've kidnapped school children in Chibok, that hundreds of school children have been kidnapped, Borno state government, under shitty man, issued a statement that it was fake news. It wasn't true. Similarly, the same message was passed on to Egbere Jolantan, that there was no missing girls. So which means they gave the terrorists enough time to take the girls, redistribute them. And yes, he's right. Good luck, Egbere Jolantan. Pretty much like treated it so much with levity, and maybe not totally blamed for it, because if people said, no, there is no kidnapping, and you gave the terrorists 24 hours to move the girls before you finally now said, yes. I don't know if some of you still remember this, that they actually said they rescued them at some point for 2 days before they finally admitted that, yes, there's been a kidnapping. And immediately, El-Rufai, shitty man, and the APC criminals, terrorists, they started granting different press interviews. Shitty man even cried. And what did they tell the press? Jonathan did not say, he did not do anything. He did not come to support them. He did not even he didn't even care. And that worked, you know. So the likes of Reno Omokri, Wendell Simlin, is that what his name? The identity of a woman that he stole. Or Shore knows him better. Shore, who was Wendell Simlin?
I met the mother. I interviewed her. I put it out. That's the evidence. And the woman said, yes, Reno Omokri is an identity thief. When Reno Omokri sent soldiers to the mother's house to eject somebody from their house in Warri or so, I got the information. I put it out to the Sahara policy. In fact, it led to him being fired by Jonathan, because most people did not know that Reno Omokri did not complete his tenure with Jonathan. Jonathan fired him towards the election because of a lot of criminal activities he was engaging in. Reno Omokri claims to be an Amazon bestseller. Can you just find out how many books he's selling? What's the name of the book? So I'm not personalizing it. I'm just telling you that I am an evidence-based person. If he says, oh, look, there's no need engaging in emotional conversations. But you know, all the political leaders in this country have their own supporters. Even if you look today, there are people who still support Abacha.
So like I said, I'm a storyteller. So if you have time, just sit back and be following it step by step, because we are going somewhere with this. Wendell Simlin, is that what his name? The identity of a woman that he stole. Or Shore knows him better. Shore, who was Wendell Simlin?
I met the mother. I interviewed her. I put it out. That's the evidence. And the woman said, yes, Reno Omokri is an identity thief. When Reno Omokri sent soldiers to the mother's house to eject somebody from their house in Warri or so, I got the information. I put it out to the Sahara policy. In fact, it led to him being fired by Jonathan, because most people did not know that Reno Omokri did not complete his tenure with Jonathan. Jonathan fired him towards the election because of a lot of criminal activities he was engaging in. Reno Omokri claims to be an Amazon bestseller. Can you just find out how many books he's selling? What's the name of the book? So I'm not personalizing it. I'm just telling you that I am an evidence-based person. If he says, oh, look, there's no need engaging in emotional conversations. But you know, all the political leaders in this country have their own supporters. Even if you look today, there are people who still support Abacha.
So like I said, I'm a storyteller. So if you have time, just sit back and be following it step by step, because we are going somewhere with this. So who are those around Jonathan as governor? The likes of Doyin Okuigbe, the likes of Reno Omokri, Wendell Simlin, who would rather engage in falsehood or an attempt to deviate conversation, or outright a falsehood. This was their stock in trade. Unfortunately, it was around the time that the social media influence was sort of growing. So it's easier for people to easily get deceived. So APC, Ebekebe used that to the fullest. Okay? So Jonathan stood no chance. He was totally hated. And it worked for them. So at the end of the day, the Chibok girls, which was first of its kind in Nigeria, mass kidnapping of children, APC, Ebekebe started it. And they leveraged on it so well. Kidnapping of school children, all for power. So they got the power. Eventually, Ebere Jonathan was bullied out of Aso Rock. And the likes of El-Rufai became governor in the process. Bokwari became president, right? Shittiman became a senator. They were all compensated, they all rewarded. It's like good stuff. And it was time for them to now prove what they claimed. They could do better. Suddenly, they introduced Fulani terrorists into the fray. And he, as a governor in Kaduna, the people of Southern Kaduna, majorly Christians, right? They came under an organized ethnic cleansing, mass killings from the Fulani terrorists. After El-Rufai said he went all over West Africa to tell them that their brother is now in power, they can come back.
Check the records between August 2015, when we received the Agwai committee and began the outreach, until May, June 2016, there was not one incident of any such killing in Southern Kaduna. So we felt that we were succeeding. We felt that we had got the transhumans out of the equation and can now focus on resolving the issues between local herdsmen and farmers, which is still an issue. Okay, but yes, we offered them money. We said, look, if we have to pay you not to kill our people, we're happy to do it.
Is that the only solution that you're adopting, to pay them to stop the killing? That
is the only solution we can see. If anyone has a better solution, you should give us. If you have somebody in Guinea that you cannot prove is responsible for this, but you say, look, we apologize, this has happened, but it didn't happen in my time. Okay, I'm the governor now, this has happened, we apologize that you are caught up in our domestic issues. Have you lost cattle? We can pay. Have you lost lives? We can pay compensation. Compensation for lives and property has foundations even in the Quran and the Bible. Okay, so I don't understand why people would say, but what I said and what we tried to do was twisted, okay, by one newspaper largely, to say that I am paying herdsmen to kill. What we were trying to do was offering money to them to say, don't kill our people. And frankly, as the governor of the state, the life of every citizen of that state and his property is on my head. I will stand before God and be asked, what did you do to ensure that that person is not killed or his property destroyed? I am prepared to offer you money if you feel that you're offended and you are going to collect people to come and kill people. I'm prepared to offer you money not to do it. I have no apologies for that. But to twist that to say that, oh, El-Rufai is now paying herdsmen to kill, I think it's most irresponsible. Now, in my opinion, and when you look at the
again, what they condemned Jonathan for got worse under Bokwari, specifically under this criminal, this little finger, the vile little man. That's what some people call him, a vile little man. He is so evil that the Fulani terrorism in Southern Kaduna is so organized that they call it a jihad. They will kill people in their communities, send them to IDP camps. They will now take over the community. El-Rufai, they will rename the communities. And this, they commit this crime and they stay at the crime scene. El-Rufai said people were exaggerating it, that in fact, the Christians in southern Kaduna, that because of donation that the world was given to them, they did not want the crisis to end. He blamed them. They were burning churches. They were kidnapping Christian children. They are not kidnapping Muslim kids, so Christian children. Chibok is a Christian community. So they would kidnap them and then force them to convert to Islam. And these terrorists were protected. You see what he said about, we went about to beg them, somebody from Guinea. Guinea. Why should any Nigerian governor go to Guinea to appeal to Fulani that if you lost your cow in Kaduna, come back, your brother is governor now, we will pay you, we will compensate you. We are sorry that you are caught up in our local fight. What do you mean local fight? People resisted terrorists. They fought them off. But because they didn't have the government backing, they couldn't fight the locals. They were sent away from their lands. So how dare you go about? He went everywhere up to the Central African Republic to go and bring back these terrorists, well armed. He said it. He said, we told them to come back. We are sorry. We are sorry that you are caught up in our local crisis. You know? And that is why Reno Omokri was saying, since El-Rufai, it was so bad, though. It was so bad that Kaduna, where you have more Christians than Muslims, El-Rufai and his gang, he dared them. He told them that Kaduna is an Islamic place where they have Sharia. Kaduna is an Islamic state. And therefore, they can have Muslim tickets in Kaduna. Because what they used to do was that if the governor, if the governorship candidate is a Christian, his or a deputy will be Muslim. The governor is Muslim, his deputy will be Christian. That's how they have been mixing it. That same Kaduna that they are now making it look like it's a caliphate. So there are more Christians in Kaduna than Muslims, so by population. No? And this is a fact. But the likes of El-Rufai were bent in changing that. You know? To them, that can't be. That's impossible. How could anybody say that? Well, ask people who grew up in Kaduna in the 70s, in the 80s, in the 90s, even in the early 2000s. They'll tell you. So to him, it won't be a bad idea to slaughter as many people as possible. It was like, you know, and that's why Reno Omokri said, since he left, have you heard about killings in southern Kaduna again? Well, the answer is no. But there was no single day that we were not receiving report of killings in southern Kaduna, kidnapping of, bishop, kidnapping of, this reverend father, that reverend father, or school children and all that. I'm talking about schools where those who are being mostly kidnapped, you know. So El-Rufai was so evil. He's like an evil personified. He even killed the paramount ruler of Adara Kingdom. Also, El-Rufai was so cold-hearted that for 8 years, his government was budgeting, right? As I mean, you see, people will tell you that he did so well in Kaduna, but go and ask the Kaduna people, they will tell you, well, maybe in northern Kaduna, where they did this, what do you call it, Shagbelojuyoyo, all these shining projects who are mostly like exaggerated as well, using the media. But go to southern Kaduna, Southern Kaduna Senatorial District, go there and you think, man, God damn it, man. Is this part of Kaduna as well? True story. He dared them in 2019. I was going to run a Muslim ticket. And the Christians are inconsequential. In fact, it was him that advised Tinubu that if Tinubu wanted enough to support him, he would need to pick a Muslim. And Muslim tickets must be pushed in Nigeria. And this is why you have Tinubu and Shittiman today. But we will get to that part. So El-Rufai, an evil personified, also never really liked Tinubu, to the point that there was a time he went to Lagos, and Ambode was governor then in 2018, 2017 or thereabout, right? And he bragged, just like this.
We're in the same party, we get along very well, as far as I know.
Do you want him retired? He's the godfather of Lagos.
I don't know if he's the godfather of Lagos. It's up to him to say that. What I know for sure is that we have retired godfathers in Kaduna. And I have told those that asked me the question that there are 6 million registered voters in Lagos and only 1 million voted in the last election. So there are 5 million people that you can bring into the electoral playground, and you can defeat anyone if you work hard. But it's hard work, it's 4 years. That's what I said. Now, if anyone feels offended by that, that's his business, or her business.
So you want Lagos to follow your template for retirement of government?
I have no recommendations to Lagos, okay? I am the governor of Kaduna State. I know Kaduna politics pretty well, and I play my role in my party towards the overall success of the party. I have no recommendations for anyone. I'm just saying that if I'm asked a question and I give an answer, anyone that feels offended by the answer, this is all business. I have no apologies. I don't apologize for my views. My views are thought out and I put them there, and I don't have to explain anything to anyone. This is a democracy. In a democratic space, there must be room for people to express their views. You can disagree, you can abuse me if you don't like my views, but that's it.
So he went to Lagos and they said, how is he getting along with Tinubu as a member of the same party, being the godfather of Lagos? And he said that. But somehow, whatever they plotted, in fact, this is now, it doesn't really matter anymore, okay? But this is what we heard at the time. As part of those who were plotting within the Buhari's government, this same El-Rufai was the one that advised Buhari to accept the change of money, the change of naira that Emefiole embarked on that time. That to stop Tinubu, that Tinubu has stockpiled billions of naira that was going to use to buy the election in 2023. That the best thing to do is to change the naira, force them to bring out the money, or just destroy it so that it will become useless. The intention at the time was to push. This may sound really ridiculous, right? But it is kind of like credible. The plan was to push that rubber stamp Lawan, first option. Second option, Yeye Bello of Kogi. So they were going to push these two, okay, to become the APC presidential candidate. Either of them. As much as it wasn't really going to fly, but they felt so powerful that they could do it prior to 2022. If you remember this, Tinubu was used and dumped by the same Buhari after 2015. That Tinubu had to leave Nigeria. How many of you remember that they started investigating Alpha, Beta, and Tinubu under Buhari? That Tinubu had to run away from Nigeria for 2.5 years. Until 2018, when they felt like everything was like no longer holding together. So they brought Tinubu back with the promise that he could have whatever he wants or wanted. And the only person they sacrificed at the time, well, maybe not the only person, but the first person they sacrificed for Tinubu then was Oyegun. Oyegun just won a new validation of election as their chairman, but he had to go. That was how Oshiomhole became the APC national chairman. He was selected by Tinubu as part of the agreement that they will give him the party if they wanted him to work for Buhari's second term. And they called Tinubu reconciliator of APC. I don't know if you remember all of this, but That is not inconsequential, okay? It is actually very consequential to what, to where we are today, or where they are today, rather. So Tinubu got a hold of the party, but that was the only thing. That was not the only thing he got a hold of. He was able to get a hold of some of the agencies that were working for Bokwari, including the EFCC, to the point that they had to also sacrifice Maguluta Kruku. You remember him, Magu? The EFCC criminal that you don't hear from him anymore, right? It was also somehow got bought over by Tinubu, that he botched the investigation that Malamu told him to do about Tinubu, because the effort is to see how they can stop Tinubu from getting the ticket of APC. It was so coordinated, and this El-Rufai was part of the whole plan. It was totally part of the whole plan. And I think Tinubu knew as well. Maguluta Crook was called to the villa, and he was locked in the villa's prison in Abuja for more than 6 months before they gave it to that other guy that they also kind of like arrested as well. But before that, Tinubu seems to have like already built a ring around them. So all this were ongoing until, surprise, surprise, El-Rufai, Patawale, or El-Rufai of Kaduna, Patawale of Zamfara, Yeye Bello of Kogi, and maybe one or two others. They are told Bokwari to change the money in order to further weaken Tinubu from buying election. Boom. They just made this 360-degree U-turn. They sued Bokwari that he can't change money. The deadline of changing money is wrong. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah, they took Bokwari to Supreme Court, including the Central Bank of Nigeria. Meanwhile, they were those behind it. In a public show of support to Tinubu. Suddenly, they're just like on the side of Tinubu. And that was why Tinubu drafted him and others into his campaign, so as to say, I have forgiven all of you. Because what Tinubu did was to give 100 million naira to 23 people to go and buy presidential form of APC. That's why you had about 30 or 31 people who bought APC form for president. Tinubu alone bought 24 of those forms. 100 million naira. So it was like a change of heart. And they started supporting Tinubu, in case you have forgotten.
It's confused. No, it does not. First, let me say that this is a policy of the PDP. Emefiele was appointed central bank governor by the PDP originally. So let's not forget where he came from. And he's the one that put this policy together to help the PDP win the 2023 general elections and deceive the president into thinking that it is possible to withdraw 2 trillion naira from circulation and reprint everything in 3 months. No country in world history has done it. He deceived the president. He gave the president wrong information. And the Attorney General, unfortunately, we have to claim that one is from our party, supported this policy. And we know why. Go and look at the antecedent. These are people that wanted to run for president or governor in our party and didn't make it. This is their revenge plan. But the Supreme Court justices today have shown that this is a policy against the people of Nigeria and is invalid. So let's not go back to what has happened last week. The election is over. Our candidate has won in spite of the obstacles. But for us, what is important is that ordinary Nigerians, traders, farmers, and businessmen can now move on with their lives. Go to your bank and collect all your money today. You have the right to do so by the order of the Supreme Court of Nigeria. Whether the federal government obeys the order or not is up to the federal government. But I know President Muhammad Buhari very well. Part of the reason why I convinced my colleagues to go to the Supreme Court is because we are among the closest governors to the president. And we wanted to show him, if those closest to you disagree with you so publicly on a matter of policy, you need to reflect on it. Okay? President Muhammad Buhari is a man that obeys the law. He may have been misguided by his advisors, but now that the Supreme Court has spoken unequivocally, I am confident that all the orders will be complied with.
I mean, what is the change of heart all about? The Kaduna delegates voted for Rotimi Amechi. I don't know if some of you remember that Amechi came second. Amechi scored over 200, was it over 200 or 300 delegate votes? So where is that change of heart came from? Some people may think Tinubu was a brilliant, genius politician that renegotiated. No. Something went down that even Tinubu knew, and he was only waiting for the time to deal with the El-Rufai. They were the brain behind it. They were the ones who advised Bokwari. They were the ones who sent Emefiole, Malamu. They are all closer to Bokwari. They agreed to do this in order to stop Tinubu. They said the security report of Tinubu is that they came from. Some people may think Tinubu was a brilliant, genius politician that renegotiated. No. Something went down that even Tinubu knew, and he was only waiting for the time to deal with the El-Rufai. They were the brain behind it. They were the ones who advised Bokwari. They were the ones who sent Emefiole, Malamu. They are all closer to Bokwari. They agreed to do this in order to stop Tinubu. They said the security report on Tinubu is that they cannot sell him. And Tinubu, being a criminal, a druggie, their party can never win any election. They knew it, but somehow that was changed last minute. And they made it public. Yeah, you see, all of us who are very close to the president, we are now against him publicly. Yeah. So Tinubu quickly just dragged them into his campaigns, knowing that El-Rufai is the arrowhead of it. When Tinubu was going to Chatham House in December 2022, El-Rufai was actually given a role to answer questions for Tinubu. I don't know if you remember that. We don't have time. I can't show you all of that, okay? But I'm giving you all this flashback so that you can know or have an idea of the genesis to the revelation of the journey of El-Rufai in Tinubu's political emergence today. And it's like he's a dribbler who dribble everybody, and then can't dribble himself to throw in. A waste. That's exactly what El-Rufai is. But let's leave El-Rufai for a sec and go to that of Reno Omokri. For 8 years, Reno Omokri, when they're assembling identity thief, who decided to exile himself from Nigeria because he believed that Bokwari's regime was going to jail him. I don't know what he did, but he believed that. So he stayed away. Okay? And there was nothing he didn't say about APC. There was nothing he never said about APC. He got recruited, or maybe he recruited himself. I think he got recruited by Atiku. Atiku recruited him in 2017. He was giving him money, as a useful tool for Atiku 2019. So that didn't work. So Reno Omokri extended his life in exile by another 4 years. So by 2022, it became obvious that it was going to be Tinubu versus Atiku, and then versus Obi. So, on the part of Atiku, Reno Omokri saw himself a pathway, not only to return to Nigeria, but possibly to return to Aso Rock as a media aid. Who knows? So he had to show workings. All right? To the point that when other relevant people made revelation about Tinubu's drug dealings, his certificate forgery, and the rest of that, Reno Omokri jumped on it. He made himself, man at the center of it all. Like, he's doing investigative journalism. At the point, he actually did make a video. He made a lot of video. He made lots of videos, okay? But this one stands out, talking about Tinubu.
Like I told you, the man at the center of Bola Tinubu's white heroin drug cartel has died. I mean, the death was just mysterious. You know, he was said to be on the roof of his house, and then he fell down and he died. I mean, just look at that. A week ago, this 52-page document came out from the Chicago courts exposing his name, exposing the fact that he was at the center of the white heroin drug cartel, and that Bola Tinubu was the launderer of their monies. And then all of this information came out. The media has been looking for him, trying to investigate him, trying to talk to him and get his own side of the story. And all of a sudden, just last night, he dies. I mean, it is too convenient. Mathematically, this coincidence is just impossible. Look, Nigerians, especially the media, we have to go back to the circumstances surrounding the death of Funsho Williams. Because it's just similar. This was a man who was in opposition to Bola Tinubu, Funsho Williams, and mysteriously he died. Men went to his house and then they shot him. And then in this other instance, you had a situation whereby a man mentioned in court documents as being the leader of Bola Tinubu's white orange drug cartel just dies mysteriously just last night, November 16th, 2022. I mean, look. Nigerians, something is fishy. This is classic drug cartel behavior. This is classic Delegiwa behavior. This is what happens in Panama, what happens in Colombia, what happens in drug cartel territories in Mexico. We cannot allow this to happen in Nigeria. We need to find out why. What are the circumstances leading to this man's death? Because this is not a coincidence at all. Bola Tinubu has questions to answer. Thank you for watching, and God bless.
God bless you. That's Reno Omokri. He was in London. I mean, see, there is what do you call it? I think there's level to some criticism, okay? I call Tinubu druggy. I call him drug addict. I call him drug heroin trafficker and all of that. These are facts. Do you understand that? They are like court documents referencing all of this. I call him a certificate forger, and I also call him a treasury looter. These are facts. When Tinubu did pee himself that time, right? We saw that. And, Reno Omokri went like to the gutters in all the things he said about Tinubu. Oh my God. Some of them, like, you can even feel like, oh, Moaba, this is too much. Oh. Yeah? Or he had to walk back on all of his sayings, okay? I think I have some here. Take a look at this one. There is one when Tinubu's, he talked about Tinubu's teeth, right? So let us face facts. Look at the state of Tinubu's teeth. Look at the state of his urine-soaked agbada. How can a man with such poor personal hygiene be entrusted with the fate of 200 million Nigerians? Yeah? And Atole will be our president with question mark. Nítorí kíni? Wọ́n ṣépè fún wa with question mark. Did they cause us? In London, on the 5th of December 2022, he was there shouting. But Tinubu will never forget the protest we just pulled off. Shattered us in his life. He was disgraced and could not get out of his car. He had to run away. He harassed Tinubu out of London protest against drug lord Tinubu, as Shattermas was a resounding success. The British media were there, and Tinubu was projected to them for what is a known drug lord. You get that? Like, it was that. But today, Reno Omokri is fighting El-Rufai. Okay, like he's just saying all we kind of already knew about El-Rufai, by the way, but he's doing so in defense of Tinubu. He returned back to Nigeria after 10 years in exile. he finally returned back to Nigeria, wearing agbada, ashoke, and this and that. He went straight into the asshole rock because, yeah, Tinubu told him he could come back. And why is that? Because immediately the Supreme Court's ruling that validated Tinubu's illegitimate government, a man that Reno once praised like this, right? He just started attacking him. Peter Obi.
That built up Anambra State. You know, Anambra State used to be almost educationally disadvantaged. And then in less than 2 years, he brought them to be #1. He left that state with a reserve. Look, you know, we need people like this. I'm so proud of Governor Obi. I listened to him today and, you know, I was taught, like, do we have fellows like this in Nigeria? I'm very proud of this man. Look at everything that he has touched. He made money for himself in the private sector. He made money for Anambra State in government. Anambra State doesn't borrow money. Are you aware of that? These bailout funds that the current administration is giving states.
Because he met with Peter Obi in London. And this was when Boko Haram was destroying Nigeria. In exile, that's why he met Peter Obi. And I'm so proud of him. I am so, then, I don't know, from nowhere, he just started using Obi as a point of contact. He just started attacking the Igbos. Okay, it was the one blowing the dog whistle that obedient are Igbos. That when you see obedient, even when the obedient will go there and say, me, I am obedient, I'm from Kaduna, me, I am obedient, I am from Lagos, I am obedient, I am from Ogun State, I am obedient, I am from so and so. No. It was playing this tribal, ethnic, baiting cards online. Okay, he was calling the Igbos, the Southeasterners, all kinds of names using Peter Obi as a point of contact. Then he got a call from the villa that he could come back to Nigeria. So he went back to Nigeria, which is now like a validation that you are doing a good job. Well done, bro. Well done. So Mr. President is very proud of you. So when El-Rufai said Tinubu is arrogant for ignoring the advice of the people, that he should not Yorubanize his government when he's giving the political appointment to the Yorubas, this and that, Reno Omokri took it upon himself to reply, El-Rufai. He said he's a loser, he's a sore loser. Because Tinubu didn't give him appointments. That's why El-Rufai want to turn himself to opposition, criticizing, and all of that. So since yesterday, it's been between these two personalities. Meanwhile, just about 3 days ago, Reno Omokri made a video telling everybody that Tinubu is like this American president, that American president that no matter what anybody does, Tinubu is going to do his 8 years. In 2027, no opposition can remove him, this and that. And he probably felt like he had in that video. Let me share it with you. His projection for Tinubu.
A lot of people have enemies and they maintain that enmity. They nurse that grudge. They keep up that fight, that quarrel. And they don't realize that too often it's a sign of low emotional intelligence. You see, people who are highly emotionally intelligent, what they do is that accept an enmity is for maybe an existential issue like faith. For instance, maybe you have a situation with the Jews and with some Arabs that, okay, we believe diametrically opposed things and we want diametrically opposed things. And so, you know, there's very little chance of us reconciling, except maybe we have a two-state solution. If you are in that situation, then maybe it's a bit different. But where you are, the enmity arose as a result of something like maybe a competition for a resource or a post, or maybe it was just out of a war situation over, you know, like maybe struggle for some land or whatever it is. You can reconcile with your enemy.
It doesn't make you a hypocrite or your enemy a hypocrite. It just makes you a highly emotional, intelligent person. If you look, for example, at the Second World War, the United States fought the war and they had allies. Their biggest ally, of course, was the United Kingdom. And then they also had other allies. They had Canada, they had some countries in the Commonwealth that fought with them. And who was their foe? Who was their enemy? On the other side, you had the Axis powers. You had Germany, you had Italy, and you had Japan. Now, if you look today at the United States, who are their biggest trading partners? And and I encourage you to fact check me. If you go online, you see that America's biggest trading partners, number 4, Japan. Number 5, Germany. Now, so these are the countries that they fought with. Now, what about their allies? The United Kingdom is actually number 7. So in the United States, there are more goods from Japan and Germany than there are from their ally, their former strongest ally of whom they had special relations, England. So look at that. They've been able to overcome the enemy because it was not for an existential issue. It was just they were fighting over resources. And also, I'll give you a very good example. If you look at the 1980 US election, if you go back to 79 when there was a primaries for the Republican nomination for presidency, you had a very huge struggle between Ronald Reagan and George Bush. Eventually, Ronald Reagan got it, but it was a very nasty, bitter struggle. But Reagan's advisor told him, if you want to win this election against an incumbent, Jimmy Carter was the incumbent president, you've got to unite the Republican Party. And the only way you can do that is to take the second runner-up, or the first runner-up in the primaries. And that's how George Bush ended up as his running mate. And together, they defeated the incumbent. So when you understand that, you try to reconcile with enemies. It helps you achieve your goals better. If you look at scripture, even in the spiritual side of things, who was the most successful evangelist in the New Testament? It's going to be Paul. I mean, that's undisputable. It's going to be Paul. What was Paul to Yeshua, whom you call Jesus? Some people call him Jesus. Some people call him Isa. He was an enemy. But Yeshua was able to convert him from an enemy and into a friend. And because of that, Paul became so successful as an evangelist. When you have friends, for example, your friends are likely to rely on their relationship with you, the emotions, the sentiments. They are more likely to take you for granted. But a former enemy, a former foe is less likely to do that because they know their history with you. They've got a lot to prove. You've got a lot to prove to them. They've got a lot to prove to you. And so you guys work better. Enemies that you've won over to your side are more reliable than friends. And that is why I am convinced that the president of Nigeria, Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is going to be re-elected in 2027. I'm so sure we aspects, for God to spare his life, and that's what we pray. As long as God spares his life, he's going to be re-elected because he is an expert in that. He knows how to turn former enemies into friends. And he knows how to work with them because the issue that he has with them and that they have with him are not existential issues that, they are going to depend or determine the fate of this world and then your fate in the afterworld. No, they are just issues. I want to be president. And there's only one president at the time. You want to be president, you didn't get it, I got it. Okay, so now I've gotten it. Now, you cannot be president for the next 4 years. Let's work together. He has that ability to do that. And not just with people who ran, against him, with people who were against him. So that ability, and very few leaders had that. General Babangida had that because he had this ability to get people who were his critics, who were his enemies, and work with them.
Do you understand where that is going? Yeah. He had to explain to his followers all the time, like, listen, Tinubu knows how to use his enemies. Okay, he knows. And if you want to go far like that, you can convert your enemies to your friend because they have a lot to prove to you. Reno Omokri has a lot to prove to Tinubu. Do you understand? Like, he's the one who has to prove to Tinubu that he is loyal. Tinubu doesn't have to do anything. Similarly with Bulaba, Dani, and it's true. If you read the 48 laws of power, right? They say, bring your friends, keep your friends close and keep your enemies closer. Something like that. Because they have a lot to prove to you. Okay? Or that is the line of argument that people like these jobbers always give. It's to let you know that we criticized you, we called you names. We don't mean all those things. In fact, we actually admire you. Okay? And we are ready to prove it to you. If anybody say anything about you, we are ready to counter them. You don't need to give us anything. Don't give me anything. Don't worry. Don't give me appointments. I don't want appointments. I don't want anything. But I am ready to prove it to you. Or if you give me any role, you can give me any role, I can prove further. But I'm not saying you should give me anything. No. Do you understand? And that's exactly what they believe makes Tinubu a genius. Not them being people with no principle, men with no scruples. Do you understand? Men who stands for nothing. A fair weather man. Those who are like a fair weather. Anywhere they left face. They have no principle. They have no integrity. They stand for nothing. They are the loudest as well. Yeah, they are the loudest. And all it takes is just to offer them something. They will switch aimlessly, and they will begin to eat their own vomit. And they will tell you that they are doing so simply because this person has shown that he is a leader. And everything else we know about him doesn't really matter. Forget about that. Not many leaders who, because this person is ready to forgive us. And that is why he is now the one that is now tackling El-Rufai. And El-Rufai himself is a man with no principle, no integrity, no nothing. He will do anything and everything. He will say anything just to kind of feather his own nest. And if he loses out, he will begin to steal the milk until he gets the attention. He is ready to burn down the entire house if he can't have his way. There are people like that, men with no principle, no integrity, no nothing. I think he told one of his, he told Solomon Lalong, where he said he told him that immediately he finished his tenure as a governor in Kaduna, he is no longer seeking any public office. He said he told him, but he was surprised that he allowed himself to be used by Tinubu and dumped. In a program with Sheomo Kimbaloye 2 weeks ago, Lalong had this to say about El-Rufai, Tinubu, and the opposition.
El-Rufai, I expected him to have been smarter politically than what happened to him. When he concluded his tenure, towards the end of his tenure, he made up his mind not to hold any public office. But Tinubu went to Kaduna at an economic summit and lured him. And El-Rufai knew that he is smarter than almost every other person. He knew himself well. He knew even his intrigues. He knew his controversial disposition. So he couldn't have given into that because he was lured into so that he can be humiliated the way he did. And if I were in his shoes, even if today even Angel Gabriel is accompanying Tinubu to pacify me to serve in his government, I will not. You know why? If I dare make that mistake, they will nominate me, and then when they go to the National Assembly, they will raise security reports and declare me a terrorist. And that will be over. So El-Rufai made the greatest respect for the mistake which intelligent people shouldn't have done. He should have remained with his decision. And today, he could have had more strength to be able to fight this government.
Well, we understand that he's playing some roles and there is some alignment and alliance with the SDP. Are you aware?
Yeah. But he's somebody they should watch out for because he has the capacity to mobilize people. And having learned his lesson, he will rather, if Atiku is not careful, El-Rufai will emerge as a political godfather for the North in 2027. Because he's not going to talk for himself, but he will galvanize that support to make sure that, he gets his pound of flesh from this government.
So is it true that there is a storm brewing? There is a coming together of some heavyweight politicians trying to form an alliance and form a very strong opposition?
There are different concentrics of mobilization against this government. The poor people themselves are one, mobilizing. The youth, who are now thinking of, generational shift, not even geopolitical shift, power shift. They are also mobilizing. The politicians who, with their own interests, they're not even different. Most of Nigerian political elites are not different from these people. Because if you see what happened during Konkoso's daughter's wedding in Kano, you will know that they are the same people. Because all of them congregated there. There was nothing like Christian Muslim.